Welcome to Whachacha's Tabletop World, a channel devoted to the love of board gaming. My name is Sweetness Whachacha, and today this is my overview of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. If you'd like to see my thoughts on the game, click on the link below. Okay, so this is a cooperative trick-taking game for 1 to 4 players. And this is a very rare combo. There's thousands of trick-taking games, very, very few cooperative trick-taking games. Now, this is a scenario-based game. You're going to be playing through the events of the novel of The Fellowship of the Ring. If you are only familiar with the movies, there will be some things that are different, and there will be some things that you just haven't seen because those were cut out of the film version. So a little bit of a difference there. Again, you're going to go through these different scenarios leading to the end of the book. Now, I'm not going to explain the general rules of a trick-taking game. I'm just going to go ahead and explain what makes this game unique, and go and assume that you have a working knowledge of like trick-taking games in terms of leading and the trump suit and etc. Things like that nature. But so first, let's go ahead and take a look at what comes with the game. Okay. Firstly, the box is important. Very, very lovely box here, because it's going to contain part 1 and part 2. So you'll, depending on where you are at, you'll use one of those. There's a handy dandy little piece of fabric here, which will allow you to pull the cards out much easier. I should also mention that this is going to be spoiler free. We are going to look at the opening scenario only. Other components include this deck of suits. So you're going to have, it's going to go 1 through 8. And you've got shadow cards, you've got mountain cards, you've got forests, and you've got hills, as well as ring cards, which go 1 to 5. And so those are the suits involved in that. You're also going to get reference cards, and this will be specific for 2 players or whatever number of players you're playing with some reminders and things like that on the back as well, depending on your player count. You've got some wooden chips here and a 2-sided 1 ring card, which will become important in a moment. So to play the first scenario, each of them will start with like a chapter. So chapter 1, have a little bit of flavor text about what's going on in the story, and then you're going to look here and it will say the name of it and etc., and it'll tell you what pool of characters you're going to go with. So in this case, these are the pool of characters that you have to choose from. If you're playing less than 4 players, some of these won't get played with. However, whoever has an asterisk must be played. So in this instance, Frodo and Bilbo must be played, for a 2-player game or whatever. And then if you have a 3 or more player game, then you'll be able to pick Pippin and Gandalf. Now, there are some distinct differences in how the player counts will be different in terms of their gameplay. Solo plays has a unique set of rules associated with it, 2-player as well, and then 3 and 4 are going to be played much the same way. So I'm just going to explain how you play a 3 to 4 player game. So in this 4-player example, the deck is going to be shuffled into 4 different hands equally, and 1 card is going to be the lost card, and it's going to go next to the chapter card like that. Now, whoever has the 1 ring in their hand, the number 1 of the ring suit, you are going to get Frodo, as well as this wooden piece, which is colorful on one side and black and white on the other side. So you don't really have much of a choice there. Of course, your hand of cards is going to be, private. And then each player is going to get to look and pick their character depending on their hand. Now, let's take a moment and look at these. So there's your name, of course. This is Bilbo. And then there's sort of a trait, peculiar here. Pippin is a fool of a took. That's very clever. And then it's gonna have 2 things at the bottom. Number 1 is gonna be your goal. Okay, so you have to win 3 or more tricks. And then the setup is this says none, but the setup here says exchange with Frodo, Sam, or Merry. Pippin, for example, win the fewest tricks or tie for fewest. Gandalf is going to be able to has to win 1 or more tricks and add the lost card to their hand at the beginning. So have a few more options. Frodo has to win, depending on the player count, a number of rings cards. And the player dealt the 1 ring as Frodo. You cannot exchange the 1 ring card, and you will lead the first trick. So this is sort of the first opening line of decision-making, your strategy for the game. Now, you're going to look at your hand and you're going to say, well, I've got all low cards. It's not likely I'll probably win a lot of tricks, so I'm going to take Pippin. Or you might say, hey, I got a lot of cards. I got a lot of good cards, a lot of high cards. Maybe I'll take Bilbo. you don't have much of a choice with the Frodo card, but the other characters do have quite a bit of options. Now, each game that you play, of course, you're going to have a different host of characters, and each of the characters is always going to have a different kind of goal. So each game that you play is going to be significant, like, it's going to have a different win condition. So after you've chosen your characters, you're going to do the setup effect. So Gandalf here says add the lost card to his hand and exchange with Frodo. So of course you're going to be able to try to exchange something that's going to be helpful there. Pippin, you're looking to win the fewest tricks. His setup effect is exchange with Frodo, Sam, or Merry. Frodo's the only one in this scenario right now, so you can exchange with Frodo. You probably give him a high card, and he'd probably give you a low card, as that suits your goal. He's got no setup ability, and then of course we already know that his setup ability was to take that one, was to gain the one ring card. When each of the characters wins, gets their goal completed, you'll place one of these wooden chips on the card. So if he wins 3 more, Gandalf wins 1. Once he gets a number of ring cards based on the amount of players, he'll get his. And of course, Pippin wins the fewest tricks. So if these goals are all satisfied and Pippin has the fewest tricks won at that time, a short victory means you can just stop playing. You don't need to play through the entire game. However, getting to that point is just going to go like a normal trick-taking game. You're going to, Frodo leads, and whatever he leads with, everybody will play, and then you're going to be hopefully strategizing how to win everybody a specific, for their specific goal. A couple of additional rules. The rings suit, you cannot lead with a ring card. The only time you can lead with a ring card is if a ring card has already been played, in which case you would flip that over and you know that you can now lead with a rings card. The other rule about the rings card operates just like a normal suit except for the 1 of rings. If you play a 1 of rings, which is just going to be Frodo, of course, then you can decide to win the trick. So it doesn't matter whether you should win it or not, or whether you can win it or not. You can decide whether you will win it or not. And then, of course, this is a very powerful effect because you might need to get a bunch of rings cards, or you might need to fail a trick for somebody else's to be able to complete their goal. So that's the only unique thing about this particular suit, that you can't lead with it until this card has been played, as well as the additional ability of the 1 ring card. The other ring cards do not have any special ability. So that's it. You'll deal out the cards, deal a lost card. Everyone will take a hand. Whoever has the 1 of rings will take Frodo. The other people other players will choose their character based on who they think his goal is going to be best accomplished. And then you'll play out cards and tricks until either everyone has completed their goals or the deck runs out. If you haven't completed your goals by then, you will lose the scenario and you can just replay it. If you win, you'll go to the next scenario, you'll take the next chapter card, and you'll have a new set of cards, perhaps some new characters, some new equipment, some new events, some new enemies, etc. So that'll follow the story of the book. Now, briefly, I just want to touch on the differences in the 1- and 2-player games. So for the 2-player game, you're going to have a unique setup here where some cards are going to be face up and some cards are going to be face down. A little reminiscent of Seven Wonders Duel, if you've ever played that. And for the solo game, you're actually going to deal everyone a hand of 4. Frodo will get the 1 of rings, of course, but the other characters, you'll get to pick who's going to take each hand. You'll only get to do 1 setup effect, and then you'll be kind of like refilling with the cards off the top here. Predominantly, those variants of the solo play and the 2-player hands have some difference in terms of how the cards are dealt out, etc. But all the other facets of the game will remain the same. The game also includes chapter-specific questions in the rulebook here, so you can answer any of your, like it's an FAQ here, because there are some additions in all the different chapters, so that'll help you in case you have any questions, as well as, the rules changes for 2 players and solo setup. And that's an overview of the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. If you'd like to see my thoughts on the game, click on the link below, but for now, I gotta roll.